Welcome to a special New Year edition of the Divorce Dad Playbook podcast. I'm Dan Levy.
And I'm Scott Levy.
And Scott, they changed the way that we're doing things here on, what is this called? Zoom. So I have no idea if they're seeing you or seeing me. I have no idea. It's a whole new world.
Already. There we go.
Yeah, we're done. Click two buttons now.
Zoom has changed. The world has changed then.
Do we need that? We're going to do a quick little thing for New Year's like we did for the Thanksgiving weekend. And all it is what New Year's resolution do you have as a parent? We want to ask everyone else out there as well at Divorce Dad Playbook on Facebook and on Instagram, probably the best ways to get in touch with the site. Or you can email us, Dan at divorcedadplaybook.com and Scott at divorcedadplaybook.com. What New Year's resolution as a parent do you have for 2021? But before we get to that, I know it's not like a full show, but I have a theme song. So can I play it?
Always. I would expect nothing less.
Thank you. Here you go.
I like to narrate TV news. I think that's understood. Cause when I do get TV news, there's no news that's good.
Yeah,
no news is good news. No news is good news. You ain't got any blues if you ain't got any news.
What was the name of the show called?
It was the Space. No, that's Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It was I just had it. It was like the roller coaster, Space Coaster or something.
Space Coaster?
Something like that. Space. Yeah, the Great Space Coaster.
Oh yeah. Wow. That's dating us, dude.
Gary Gnu. No news is good news. It didn't work out, but I actually started to design a t-shirt that I was going to sell maybe in 19, probably in 20 actually, that was going to have Gary Gnu as the graphic and it would just say fake news, but like GNUS, fake news. Because he's a puppet.
It's so nice that there's an audience for you.
He's a puppet.
I'm just not
he's
the
not,
audience.
He's fake news. He's fake news.
It's most of your t-shirt ideas are lost on me.
Okay. What is your we each have two kids. I just have one general one for my kids. This New Year's resolution. Oh, you want me to go first and then you have two? So what?
Do it.
Like,
yep.
I thought we were going to sandwich me in the middle of your two kids.
No,
do mine.
Do it.
All right. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last little bit, and thinking back on 2020 was pretty emotional for me. This has been a welcome addition, right? To add a one at the end of the years, because the ones that 2020 was tough. But I wanted to, and I posted this on Instagram if people follow me, I wanted to just remember like my favorite moment. And my favorite moment of 2020 was going to the auto show in Philadelphia and then going to my favorite restaurant with my kids and having them like willingly try cool things. Chicken liver mousse, bacon and egg cream, which is the greatest dessert ever. And you just like, you put a spoon down and it's chocolate and bacon and it's amazing. And no, the chicken liver mousse, I mean.
Sounds disgusting.
First of all, because you're not a food person, anyone out there, Abe Fisher chicken liver mousse is one of like the best things you can get in Philly. Just order a bucket of it.
I'm not a food person. Agreed.
So I got really emotional actually earlier today when I was posting that, because I remember vividly all of that. And there's a big story about, my birthday's around Valentine's Day, and I thought that everything was going to work out in my family, and that was going to be sort of like the big like, we're good, dinner for 4, and it turned out to be a dinner for 3. And then it was basically comped by the restaurant. They charged me $1.08, and it was the most overwhelming thing.
How come? I saw your post on Instagram, which is very nice, well written. Why did they charge you $1.09?
It was $1.09. I thought it was $1.08, but either way,
I don't.
Whatever it was, they basically gave us a free meal. The chef paid for it, but because you have to you can't just put a tip on a credit card. You have to actually pay for something and then add the tip on. So however it came out, they put like $1, and I guess it was like $1 in tax or something. It must have been what it is.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's why they had to charge me. It was overwhelming, and the kids were amazed, and it was the nicest thing ever. And that happened in February.
Yeah.
So if you can think about all of the things that happened between, February and December in 2020, that was the thing that I will never forget. I actually have a photo, the one I posted on Instagram, Scott, and the menu that they printed out that says "Happy Birthday, Dan" on it, framed in my bedroom. That's how important
nice.
that moment was to me. And
Yeah.
I thought about how that can push forward to 2021, and I realized that I've been very conscious of how I interact with people this year, because my big thing has always been to try to be assertive and not come off as aggressive. And the problem is, if you have a conversation with one other person and you think you're assertive and they think you're aggressive, then there's somewhere in the middle. It's, neither of you may be right. But if you have a conversation with 10 people and you think you're assertive and the 10 people think you're aggressive, then you're aggressive. And that's
Right.
basically how I've been my whole life. And I've worked very, very hard this year to not be like that. And then I was thinking about it and I realized, I don't know if I'm doing that as much with my kids. I say how great they are and how much I love them and how awesome I think that they are at X, Y, and Z, making t-shirts and YouTube channels and all the stuff that my kids do, which is phenomenal. But I think sometimes I'm a little hard on them because I expect so much from them. And I hear my own voice sometimes saying to them, like, why would you do that? Like almost like in a question of like, better than that. And I think this year I'm going to resolve to not prejudge them in that regard. Like I know that they're better than that. And then I treat them worse because I expect better of them, instead of just give them the benefit of the doubt because they're awesome all the time and talk to them about the reasoning why they did stuff. Don't accuse them of, or try to, and I don't think I do that enough as a parent. And I'm trying, like, it's very self-reflective, but I don't want it to come off like I yell at my kids a lot. I mean, they might say I do. I think every kid's going to say that their parents yell at their kids a lot, maybe.
Every kid, most likely.
But I really want to try not to do that because my kids are amazing and they're better than all of your kids. And not your kids are awesome. I mean, everybody listening, our kids are better than your kids. I'll take that to whatever place I need to take it. But I think because of that, I've always held them to a higher standard. And I think I'm going to try to spin that, like I'm doing with everything else in my life, into a positive. I'm going to hold them to that same standard. But instead of giving them a hard time when they don't meet or exceed that standard, I'm gonna really try to pump them up so they can even exceed what I expect of them, which has happened this year with the amazing things my kids have done, donating hundreds of dollars, making t-shirts, stickers, all this stuff that they've done. It's remarkable. And I'm going to try really hard to focus on celebrating that and letting a lot of the other smaller stuff go. And that's my 2021 resolution as a parent.
That's a well thought and spoken resolution as a parent. I think that's a great idea.
Is that at the end of the show?
No,
do you have one?
I don't know that mine's going to be as thoughtful, but it is thoughtful. I think, to your point, when I reflect back on 2020, it was full of a lot of unique things. Of course, obviously, being one of the first that most people knew that got COVID. That was pretty sick. That was kind of scary. I think when I really look back on the year as a parent, it was an absolute blessing. 2020. I don't view it like a lot of people view it, and I know a lot of people have been frustrated by the year and didn't like, the fact that things were unstructured and they had to deal with their kids and work and all that. To me, somebody who's been a divorced dad for a long time and has been on the road for work, traveling for a long time, it was completely a blessing to have the time that I did throughout this year with my kids. And I'll always remember the year for that. Not that I was so sick, and not for, the fact that we had to wear masks and all those other things. I will remember it as a true blessing that I got time to spend with my kids before they, really go off on their own. So to me, I think, part of me in a weird way is sad to see 2020 leave, because I know that we'll be heading into a new year and new things. And I'm going into a year of a lot of change for sure. And one thing being, with Jack. So I think for the resolutions, for me and for my kids, I would sort of look at them differently just because my kids are at different points in their lives. And as they get older, people know out there when you have younger kids, they're kind of just grouped. And as they get a little bit older, they become more and more independent. Uh, so I think my resolution, obviously, not obviously, but for for me as a parent to Jack, uh, it's just to really watch him and be close to him and just really, um, similar to what you were saying, just be in the best place with Jack in his final. I can't even believe it's his final year, in his final months.
Yeah.
Being at home, and just to really be mindful, spend the time and prepare him as much as I can for what he is gonna encounter in the world outside of the bubble that he lives in now. So I think I've been doing that for a long time, and I don't mean to say it in a negative way at all. It's just to continue to support him and watch him and take a lot of pride in all the things that he's done and
Mhm.
watch him grow. So I think just again creating that quality time with him. I think really my overarching theme will be continuing to make sure the quality time I got with my kids in 2020 continues. So I think for Jack, it's to set him up for the right future. I think for Luke, I mean, it's simple. Uh, with Luke, I want to, I want to have some continue to create good memories, and I want to buy a bike, and I want to bike ride with Luke. That's what I want to
That's
do.
cool.
Really like. There's a million things we will do, and we'll have lots of new memories and everything. But that's one that I can control, and it's pretty easy. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to taking bike rides with Luke.
All right, this has been serious, so I'm gonna before you get to do your out, I'm gonna say, I got a text the other day from someone who I met this year and became very close with, and as now works with us and does a lot of stuff with us. Um, and it was just like a Merry Christmas text, and it said, "I predict that you will be driving your Porsche by next Christmas." Which, by the way, is amazing that she would say that to me. That she even remembered that
Yeah,
Operation
that's right.
Taycan. So if you're
Right.
buying
That's very
transportation for
nice.
people, I'm just saying there might be a supercar in my future in 2021. If I was going to prognosticate anything about this site, it's that Max and I are going to blow past you and Luke on your bikes because we're going to be in a full electric Porsche Taycan supercar.
Nice.
Take
That's
that
great.
literally to the bank because I can't afford it, so you have to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, uh, I do. That's taking that into a different direction, of course. Of I don't think that's you as a parent, but I think looking into the year, look, a lot of people end the
Are you kidding
year,
me?
and I think this year they what? That's not
That's
you as a
not
parent.
that's not about parenting. Are you kidding me? I would have the coolest car in the entire
No,
state, probably, if
no,
not
that's
certainly town,
I'm
and
no,
I
I don't
wouldn't
want
have
to go.
to
I
pay
don't want.
for it.
No,
What
I don't
kind
want to
of
go back.
great parenting is that? Teach
I
my
mean,
son the value of $1, the value of hard work, because I'm only going to get it if we work our asses off.
he's gonna know that his uncle. It's
His uncle what?
any
What?
anyway.
Paid for it on the sweat and tears on this. Does your back get tears?
No,
The
no
sweat
tears.
and
But yeah,
whatever
just
on
can't do it.
this back right here.
I'm hopeful that as
I wish
we've
people would know the stuff that we're putting out, that like that I'm working on, that you're working on. I mean, like we'll do it at
well,
some point, but like,
yeah, I think that's the key, and I think, and I appreciate everyone who's been engaged and interacting with us as we launched this year. Another silver lining of what some people would say is a bad year is the fact that we were able to get this thing, after many years of thought and a lot of work, get this thing off the ground. I do think 2021 will be, a great year for us to continue to grow and help so many others in unique ways. I know that we do have lots of good plans. And, I think a lot of people, whether they want to admit it or not, need help. I do. You
yeah,
do. We
I
admit it all
definitely
the
do.
time.
Sure.
I think sometimes I make things look a little bit easier than they probably are. And I think maybe some people do the same thing that I do, and they still need help. So our goal for 2021, obviously, with this too, is that we want to be able to, make this as accessible and helpful to as many people as possible. So I think the continued growth, if that lands in it'll be a great video. It, if the take on, is that what it's called, take on?
I mean, we pronounce it Taycan, but take on, it's
Taycan,
Taycan. It could be anything. Who knows?
right?
It's German.
Yeah. So if that is to happen by the end of the next year, that would be a visual podcast that everyone would have to tune in for, because that would
Oh,
be
are you
really
kidding me? I would
exciting.
let Max drive it if we're doing it on the podcast. Yeah, whatever. That that's
That's
Let's not get.
not
I'm a better parent than that. All right.
yes.
You
Okay.
usually, and I don't know, is this going to be part of your every episode we've ended with saying kids first, referencing the fact that as parents, for people who hear that but maybe don't know why you say that, I venture to guess that as we've discussed previously, you always have to put your kids first. One thing that you said, one of the first things that we put up was love your kids more than you hate your ex. But when you
Yeah.
take the ex out of the equation, it's not always about you and your ex. It's about you and your kids. Your
Yeah.
ex, you made them together, but you can have a singular relationship with your kids. And I think that's why we're doing this today and why we're talking about that. So that to me is, when I hear you say kids first, that's what I always think about.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's two things about that. I don't hate my ex. When we put that out
I don't hate
there,
my
a lot of
ex. She may
people.
hate
No,
me,
no,
but I
no.
don't hate her.
Well, my ex doesn't hate me, and I don't hate her. A lot of people, like when we first put that out there, it's funny that you mentioned that. They're like, "Oh, what happened? Like, did something go wrong?" Like, and I was like, "No, it's just like, I know people do not
Yeah.
like their exes when you go through it, and that was the point of it." So I thought that was just funny how that goes. But yes, I think that the way you put together, and the thought of your resolution and your post today on Instagram, but the thought of your resolution for next year is exactly what I mean. And so I appreciate how you said that, because that's the essence of why I end every show with the way that I end it, because I
Real
truly
quick,
do believe that sentiment.
right before you do it, I just want to say, because we just talked about our exes, I was going to do this in the next episode, but I'll do it here. I got several texts from my ex after listening to the most recent episode. I invited her on the show because she's like, I just wish I had a podcast where I could just tell people how wrong you are about everything, which I laugh about because we all have different perspectives. And I said she could come on the show and talk to you, and I won't even be on it. But she's not going to do that. What she did say was she wanted everyone to know that the money that came from Max's computer, where I got very upset about how Max gets everything, came from returned Christmas presents. My response to that was obviously, wow, we got a lot of expensive Christmas presents if we had enough money to buy a computer out of it. But the other thing that I promised her that I would clarify is that none of the items in the stocking they gave me came from the kitchen. They were all new purchases.
All right. Well,
She seemed the oatmeal was new.
right. That's great. And you thought very highly of that, and it was very thoughtful of her to include
Yes,
you
very much.
like she did, and the fact that it was no recycled items, even better. On that
So on
note,
this one,
Happy New Year, kids first.